Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here. Well, right now we are witnessing one of the most historic times ever in American history where we literally are facing red states taking blue states to the Supreme Court of the United States. And it all hinges on the case that I spoke about a few days ago, and that is the state of Texas, now with many other Republican states to back them, taking to court four other states, that is Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Michigan, to the Supreme Court of the United States. And of course, we've got some Democrat states backing those states. But bottom line, there is a constitutional crisis that is at hand, and the only one that can handle this particular litigation is the Supreme Court of the United States. There is implosion that is happening right now, and some even ask if civil war could be where this thing ends up. And God, I hope not. But basically, Texas is alleging some very serious concerns over the way that Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, and Wisconsin conducted their election, and is saying that there are violations of the election clause as well as the equal protection clause. Basically, we're going to find out if the Supreme Court agrees with the Constitution or not. And that's where we at. Is our Constitution a solid document? And it should be, because that is what we have been founded on. Now, before I get into this, I've got so much to show you, all the motions that have been filed. Just a really quick break. Over 1 million Americans injure themselves every year due to stair falls. Stairway accidents are the second leading cause to accidental injury, coming in second only to that of motor vehicle accidents. This is why I protect myself with a night solar light at nightsolarlight.com. These lights are ultra bright and they have motion detecting technology. Now, I personally have installed these on all of my outside stairs, and it only takes seconds to install. Not to mention, I don't have to worry about batteries on these because they are completely solar powered. The good news is they are really good for security and have been known to decrease burglary activity. And right now, you can get it for up to 51% off at nightsolarlight.com. Again, that's nightsolarlight.com, or click in the description box below. All right, back to the broadcast. So what is going on with this epic battle between red versus blue? I want to show you and take you to the actual Supreme Court of the United States website. And here we are. And they've been listing here who's been motioning and filing what via the Supreme Court, and file after file after file. Everybody is literally getting involved. And right now, pretty much every state, not all, but a chunk of them have picked a side. Again, this is history in the making. And what I also want to do as I get into this report is kind of go over with you what will happen if they say vote in favor of the Democrats, or what will happen if the SCOTUS votes in favor of the Republicans. So I'm going to touch on that as well. But let's touch on the case and what's going on here. And I've talked about the case a couple of days ago here on my channel, so I'm just kind of bringing it back up now. But here we have Texas versus Pennsylvania, and of course we all know that includes down here, we have Pennsylvania, we have Georgia, we have Wisconsin, and we have Michigan, all right here that they took to court. But here's some of the motions that have been filed. And I'm just going to kind of list these, but you can see who's all involved. Everybody from the President of the United States to states, wanting to join in and asking if they could be plaintiffs in the case. There's quite a few of those. But we have here on December 10th, a motion of Steve Bullock in his official capacity as governor of Montana for leave to file an amicus brief summary. We have Linwood here filing a motion in support of Texas. We have an amicus brief by Georgia State Senator William Legion. We have a complaint from Ron Hewer that's been submitted. Then we have here an amicus curiae brief by the Justice and Freedom Fund in support of the Texas case. Then above that, right, we have another amicus curiae brief by the city of Detroit in support of Pennsylvania and the defendants there. Moving up the ladder, we have a motion of the governor, the senator, and the representative here to file an amicus brief. Now, these particular people are elected officials from four states there in four separate states in support of the Texas case. Then we have a motion by U.S. Representatives Mike Johnson and 105 other Republican members of the House of Representatives who have filed. Then above that, we have this one here, and I'm going to break this one down for you, but it's a motion by state legislators and voters represented by the Justice Foundation and the Amistad Project of the Thomas More Society, basically seeking to intervene, okay, and join the case as plaintiffs. Their complaint was also filed, obviously, in support of Texas there. Moving up the ladder a little bit, here we have this one. Now, this one is an amicus curiae brief by the Speaker and Majority Leader of Pennsylvania House of Representatives in support of Texas. In support of Texas. That's good news. Then we have a motion of Christian Family Coalition there who is filing as well. This is an amicus curiae motion that has been filed in support of Texas yet again. Then we have one above that, two amicus curiae motions by members of the Pennsylvania House and Senate, respectively, urging the court to take the Texas case. This again, and so far, a lot of these are in support of Texas. Moving up, then we have a motion for leave to file brief as amicus curiae and brief for members of Pennsylvania General Assembly. We also have a motion from the state of Ohio. An amicus brief has been submitted. Then we have this one. This one's pretty huge here, and I'm going to open it up in a separate box here so you guys can see it. But basically what this one is a motion that has been filed by the state of Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Utah to intervene as plaintiffs in the case. That is absolutely huge. But if we go one above that, right after all these red states asked to intervene, the blue states started jumping in on the bandwagon here. And I'm going to open this one up also. But we can see here that amicus curiae brief has been filed by the District of Columbia and states and territories of California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Guam, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington in support of Pennsylvania, right, and the defendant states. So here we have our formation of our blue battle versus our red battle, right? Blue versus red, red versus blue. Going on a little bit more, here we have all the responses from Texas, from Michigan, from Pennsylvania there, talking about their opposition to it. Basically, that's their response to what's going on. Then we have the motion of the state of Ohio for leave to file amicus brief, which was not accepted for filing. But moving up a little bit, an amicus curiae brief has been filed by Arizona, urging the court to act very quickly. Then we have an amicus curiae brief that has been filed by Roy Moore and other constitutional lawyers who are in support of the Texas case. Then right after they filed their thing, then we have Carter Phillips here, who also filed an amicus curiae, and other never Trumper Republicans. So these are Republicans who have hated Trump from the get-go, and they are filing in support of Pennsylvania and the defendant states. Then we have this filed right here, and I'm going to open that up in another area so you can see it. But basically, this is a brief by Missouri on behalf of itself and Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Utah, and West Virginia, all in support of the case here for Texas. They are supporting Texas. And of course, we have a motion to intervene by the President of the United States of America. Thank God that's our president. And then we have just a few more things happening here. Response to the motion for leave to file a bill of complaint and the motion for a preliminary injunction there. They've got that filed. A motion for preliminary injunction and temporary restraining order there has also been filed. Motion to expedite. So Texas is asking, let's expedite this thing. And a motion to leave to file a bill of complaint. And I believe that is the last thing that has been filed there. And you can see that was filed here as well. So that's kind of what is going on in a nutshell, but you could see this thing is like a literal implosion. I mean, this is crazy. Again, when I said we're making history, but what we literally saw, and I kind of wrote it down in my notes, that's what I was referencing here, is basically you have a lot of states in support of red and a lot of states in support of blue, and we're going head to head here. So basically, this has really pinned the Supreme Court of the United States in a corner, right? If they decide, well, we're going to throw this whole thing out, it's not going to mean anything, we're not doing anything, we support the Democrats in this, what does that say to the American people? Well, if you're a Republican, you're going to look at that and say, they don't care about the Constitution. They were allowed to break, right, electoral clause according to the allegations there by Texas and the Equal Protection Clause. If they were allowed to do that, what else are we allowed to do if we have no constitutional backing? And you're really going to enrage and tick off a lot of people in our country if that happens. However, if the Supreme Court goes in support of Texas and the red states, then you're going to have a lot on the left throwing massive temper tantrums. But what we really have to look at and what we're supposed to be when we elect the officials in the Supreme Court is, are they constitutionally bound? So if we're going to sit on the constitutional rights, then there's only one way to go, and that would be what the Constitution says and what our electoral clause says, what our equal protection clause says, and what we agreed to regardless. We don't have some states that can do stuff and some states that can't. That's my personal opinion there, right? This is grounds for things like civil war that we've seen passing in history's past. God, I don't want that. But it seems like there's that amount of tension in the United States of America right now. It's terrifying. But hey, if they go in favor of Texas, I told you guys I'd give my breakdown on what the court could do. That doesn't mean that they are going to do that. What could the court do if they so happen to rule in favor of Texas and the Republicans there? Well, it could go a couple of ways, right? First, the court could do what Texas is requesting. Texas is actually requesting for them to declare that all electoral votes in all four of those states not be counted. In other words, take them out of the election. The problem with that is the voters who didn't take part in passing the laws and legislation are the ones that get the penalty on that. So that would be really hard. I'm not sure that's the way that the courts will go, but I'm not the court, right? Second thing that the court could do, the court could direct the state legislators in each of those states to pick their own slate of electors. That's possible. Whether or not they'll do that, I'm not sure. A third option, which I think would be a really good option, but that's me, right, is basically throw a new election in those states. If the people's voices still, they're all worth being heard. Any and all legal vote is worth being heard. So we should maybe have another election. That's something they could do. Whether or not they'll do that because of cost and not, I don't know. I don't know. And a fourth thing that they could do if they rule in favor of Texas is this, and I think this is, obviously could be a possibility, but they could go to the House and basically the House will make the call. And in that area, yes, Democrats are more dominant in the House, but that's not how it works. You see, basically, if this is taken to the House, each state gets a vote. Therefore, Republicans have the upper hand if it goes to the House and the House is forced to make the call. So I'm hoping that that's a possibility, but it could go multiple ways if they rule in favor of Texas. Obviously, there's always the option of them ruling in favor of Democrats, because if we look at all the other freaking courts that they've done, right? So far, all the courts have been ruling in favor of the Democrats or throwing stuff out. So I don't have much, I don't know how it's going to go at the Supreme Court level. However, I can't say I have much faith seeing how everything else went. But God, I hope that we do prevail. I hope that freedom prevails. I hope that the constitutional grounds that we founded our country on prevail. That is what I hope. Anyhow, I love all of you. please get on over to Restricted Republic. I can't stress that enough. This is a great gift, by the way, to give to your family, friends, and loved ones. And right now we got $20 off an entire year using the code 20OFF. And you can get that massive discount. But again, YouTube said you can't talk about election fraud, election meddling anymore. We can't even talk about it. And that's not right, because Democrats were allowed to talk about it for 4 years. And this is one of the massive steps that they take before, going into further steps. But you want more information on that, you really got to get on over to Restricted Republic. Otherwise, you're not going to hear it on YouTube. You're not going to hear it on Facebook. You're not going to hear it on any of these platforms. Help educate others out there. Get them a subscription to Restricted Republic so they at least have a year to glean some of that information. Anyhow, I love all of you. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.